It's Sunday, April 6th, and it's time to take a look at what's going on around the country weather-wise. Big changes on the way. I've not gotten rid of my coats and hoodies, and I hope you haven't either, because temperatures a little bit below average this week across the central and eastern United States. We've seen snow across Texas. We've even had reports of snow further to the north and east of this. A lot of cold air spilling into the continental United States over the next couple of days. Not quite the same across the southwest. This is sort of a protected area, if you will, as we see a ridge of high pressure hold on here. But look how this cold is getting reinforced. That's the thing, right? So it's a little chilly at first. It's one shot, and then we get another one. And yeah, it's April. I mean, you're not talking about big winter storms. But the fact that it's going to be cold, well, it's on the table as we move through this week with temperatures a little bit below average. All right, some severe weather on the way today across the south, mainly across the deep south. Now, there could be a few strong storms into the Carolinas. However, the strongest storms will likely be across Alabama, the panhandle of Florida, parts of southeast Mississippi, also into Georgia. Watch these storms as they pulse up into the afternoon, and then heading into tomorrow, that threat shifts a little bit further to the east. This is the tornado risk. About a 5% chance of seeing a tornado anywhere within this area of about 25 miles, within a 25-mile area, that is. So anytime you see these numbers, that gives you an idea of what you're looking at. So it's not a zero threat. It's not crazy off the charts like what we've seen lately, but still a decent risk of some severe weather heading into tomorrow. And then heading into now Tuesday, that threat shifts all the way to South Florida as our Arctic front pushes all the way through Florida with temperatures on the way down. Now, here's a quick look at where we're at on this Sunday. We've got some heavy rain moving. The good thing is it is moving. It's moving away from the areas where we've seen the flooding across parts of Kentucky, Tennessee, Missouri, Arkansas. It's just been devastating here. Southern parts of Illinois, Indiana. Finally, we get some a break. But the problem now is this river flooding. So all this water has to go somewhere, and I just think this is going to be something we're dealing with this entire week. Rain moving up and down the eastern seaboard, some cold air in place across the northeast. There could be some snow. We'll look at this in just a second, a little bit closer, but I want to show you that overall pattern. Colder in the east, unsettled across the Pacific Northwest with more rain and snow moving in here, and it's kind of quiet here across the southwest. Let's dig into each area, region by region. Let's start first here across what's happening across the southern plains. Also across the south, some strong storms across Mississippi as we move through the day today. Some damaging winds, some hail. Cold enough. Look at this. Look really close here. Maybe a little bit of snow trying to mix in across parts of Arkansas. Also Oklahoma. Now, this isn't going to be a huge deal, right? But there could be some snow. Cold enough, you get the idea that it's chilly. Get the coat out, get the jacket. You're going to need it on Monday morning for sure. And then we dry out. Sky's clear. Temperatures today, cool under the clouds in the 40s, maybe even some areas into some of the higher elevations, not getting out of the 30s into the Ozarks. But look at tonight, dropping back below freezing. There are freeze watches. Some freeze warnings out as well. Frost advisories. I expect we'll see several of these because this cold's going to push pretty far to the south. Temperatures on Monday starting off in the 30s, close to freezing across Oklahoma into Kansas. We warm up nicely, though, into the afternoon. This area is going to be spared the brunt of the cold. Most of it is going to be just to your north and east. And here comes that second shot heading into Tuesday morning. I mean, look at this, dropping into the mid-20s here and into parts of Iowa, Illinois, even St. Louis may drop into the upper 20s. So big cold on the way. Further to the south and east, there's the severe risk today. As we move into the afternoon, these storms will pulse up. A lot of wind shear out ahead of this and a lot of instability too, with temperatures well into the 80s. So some really warm air for this time of year. And then we start to see things really change up. The good news is that this rain is advancing. It's not getting hung up. We're not going to see that major flooding threat. However, there is a risk of some heavy rain. There could be some isolated flash flooding, certainly possible as our front moves through. And look how cold it turns behind this. We may be waking up with a little bit of snow on the ground in the southern Appalachians. It's not going to be a big snow, but again, cold. And maybe some snow all the way down into the mountains here of East Tennessee and North Carolina. Get up into the elevations, up into the Smokies. Say goodbye to the upper 80s and 90s. The cold air back to the west, advancing as we move through Sunday. Monday, much cooler across the Tennessee Valley. Highs only in the 50s versus the upper 70s. Low to mid 80s. We're a good 15, 20 degrees colder. And then with this next blast of chilly air, you're talking about lows well below freezing across Ohio, Pennsylvania, West Virginia, and then that chilly air tries to push into the south. You'll really start to feel it heading into Wednesday morning into the deep south. Places like Birmingham, Tuscaloosa, probably going to get back into the 30s here, even up into the Piedmont of North Carolina and then into the mountains. A hard freeze looking likely with temperatures in the 20s. Further to the north, it's definitely getting colder into the Great Lakes region. Not unusual or unheard of for this time of year, but nonetheless, it's going to affect you this week, especially after a warm period where temperatures have been relatively warm, at least, especially across southern parts of Michigan and Indiana, Illinois, Ohio, even parts of Wisconsin. Look at the snow moving through here, right? There could be a little bit of accumulation. It doesn't look like a lot, but with this Arctic front swinging to the south, some snow showers on the way. Maybe a coating up to a couple of inches here across northern Michigan. Into the UP, we'll see more. And then as far south as Erie, Pennsylvania, maybe a coating to an inch or so. But get up into the ridges here, into parts of Pennsylvania, parts of New York, we could see a couple of inches. And I think even as far south as the Appalachians, not a lot, but the flakes are probably going to be flying here. And look how cold this air is up here across Canada. Single digits and teens as we tap into what's left of the Arctic air as our seasons do start to change here. Look at these below zero numbers just north of the border here on Tuesday morning. Places like International Falls may flirt with zero. Cold Arctic air digging south. Now, it's April, so that April sun's going to modify things pretty quickly, and then we start to see some changes. All right, into the Northeast. This is interesting. There's some cold air moving through as we head into Sunday night. That's tonight. Into Monday. A little bit of freezing rain possible as some of this moisture overruns the cold air that's in place. So there could be some freezing rain here from maybe north of Allentown into that region, up the Hudson Valley. Some snow, though, into parts of Vermont, New Hampshire. Even western Mass may go over to snow for a little bit, and then our front slowly sags to the south. Here comes a clipper system. This may bring some intense snow here into parts of Canada and Ontario, moving toward Montreal. But the heaviest snow, again, likely into Canada, but the big deal will be the cold. And look out here into Maine. I'm just watching this. This thing could really wrap up with some vorticity swinging through, and we could see some decent amounts of snow here as we head into Tuesday. Temperatures on the way down. Say goodbye to the warmth across the mid-Atlantic. We're holding on to it for at least one more day. Heading into Monday morning, though, there comes the real cold. Moving into western PA, into New York, we're back below freezing, well below freezing into the parts of the Northeast where we're going to be in the teens. Further to the north and west, across the northern plains, this will be the transition zone. Relatively dry, though, this week. Take a look. Tuesday into Wednesday, we may see a few showers try to work along our warm front. But the idea, though, in this region that there's going to be a huge difference in temperatures. I mean, check it out. Teens, close to single digits, but we're going to warm up at least further to the south and west here across southwest Nebraska into northern Colorado into the 60s versus the 20s here. That cold air not really surging it's south. It's more of a south-southeast flow. So by the time we get into Tuesday, we're back up into the upper 70s, close to 80 across Nebraska, but pretty chilly up here in the parts of Minnesota. And it stays cold, too. Kind of insult to injury if you're hoping for spring. You're in the 70s across South Dakota, but you're stuck in the 30s and 40s across Wisconsin and the rest of Minnesota. Across the Southwest, quiet and dry here for the next several days. Not a lot of change. Maybe some showers into Northern California. Otherwise, the trend across the deserts will be to warm up. We may push triple-digit heat by Thursday. Warm across the Central Valley. Warm up towards Salt Lake City into the upper 60s in some areas. We may get close to 70. A little bit cooler, though, as we head into Tuesday and Wednesday, the further north you go. However, the deserts are heating up. We're talking about highs pushing into the mid-90s by Wednesday. Phoenix may get very close to 100 as we get toward Thursday. Across the Pacific Northwest, unsettled here. More rain, more snow. Snow levels will start to drop across Washington and Oregon with a little bit of rain and snow continuing all the way through Tuesday and Wednesday. Some of this may start to pick up again on Tuesday evening as our next piece of energy swings through. A bit of a break by the time we get toward the middle part of the week and a decent storm swinging up just off the coast. It pushes most of the moisture into British Columbia. Temperatures, again, on the way down as that front moves through. Snow levels will start to drop into the Cascades, and then we'll keep that unsettled weather around here. All right, that's kind of a look at what's going on pretty much across all the regions of the country. Once you get beyond this week, kind of looking at the pattern change heading into the weekend, I mean, look how this cold holds in the east. We get hot across the desert southwest. A lot of cold air still billowing up here, holding on toward the Arctic. But it looks like, I mean, I don't know if this is going to happen or not, but daggone, it looks like we get another shot of some cold air heading into next week. So maybe a little bit of a setback to the spring weather we've seen lately. So don't put the sweaters away just yet. All right, see you next time.